Today, the Supreme Court struck down the Trump-era tariffs, sending shockwaves through global markets and Washington. For years, these tariffs defined a protectionist era in American trade policy. With this ruling, that chapter ends, and the balance of power in government shifts. The court's decision is a clear check on presidential authority, reasserting Congress's constitutional power to regulate commerce and set taxes. For businesses and consumers, this is a game changer. Companies burdened by high import costs now see hope, and lower prices for everyday goods may be on the horizon. Yet the economic landscape has been permanently altered by years of trade disputes. The path forward is uncertain, filled with both opportunity and risk. This is about more than economics. It's about America's future role in the global economy. Will this spark a new era of open trade or ignite fresh political battles over economic control? One thing is certain, today marks a fundamental rewriting of American trade rules. The aftershocks are just beginning. To grasp the impact of today's ruling, we need to understand tariffs. Simply put, a tariff is a tax on imported goods designed to make foreign products more expensive and encourage buying American. The Trump administration used tariffs to protect industries like steel and aluminum, invoking national security under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act. This move was controversial. Critics argued it stretched the law's intent and hit allies as well as rivals. The result, a global trade war with countries like China, Canada, and the EU retaliating against American exports. For decades, the U.S. championed free trade. These tariffs reversed that, creating uncertainty for businesses and consumers. Farmers lost export markets overnight, manufacturers faced soaring costs, and while some domestic producers benefited, many more struggled. The country was deeply divided. Supporters saw protection for American jobs, opponents saw economic harm and damaged alliances. This division set the stage for the legal battle that would ultimately reach the Supreme Court. The tariffs became a symbol of a broader debate. Should America shield its industries or embrace global competition? The answer for now has been decided in court. The legacy of these tariffs will shape trade debates for years to come. The story of tariffs is one of winners, losers, and a nation forced to confront the true cost of economic protectionism. As the dust settles, the lessons of this era will inform the next chapter in American trade. The question remains, what kind of trading nation does America want to be? The answer will define its economic future, and the world is watching. The legal fight over tariffs was a battle for the soul of American government. A coalition of businesses argued the president had overstepped, claiming only Congress can tax and regulate commerce. The administration countered that national security justified broad executive action. The courts were skeptical. Was the law meant to allow such sweeping power? The case climbed through the judiciary, with the Supreme Court ultimately agreeing to decide how far presidential authority can go. At stake, could one person reshape trade policy without Congress? The justices recognized the need for a definitive answer. The legal arguments were made, the lower courts had weighed in. Now the fate of the tariffs and the limits of presidential power rested with the 9 justices. The outcome would set a precedent for generations. This was more than a trade dispute, it was a test of constitutional checks and balances. The nation waited as the highest court prepared to rule. The decision would reverberate far beyond trade. The Supreme Court's majority opinion was clear. The administration's use of Section 232 was an unconstitutional overreach. The justices ruled that while the president has power in foreign affairs, only Congress can impose broad economic tariffs. The law was meant for targeted national security threats, not sweeping economic policy. Allowing the president to declare economic emergencies and tax at will would erase Congress's core authority. The majority wrote, "A law that grants the executive the power to tax virtually all imports at will is not a delegation of authority, but an abdication of it." The ruling sends a message. Congress cannot hand off its essential powers to the executive branch. The dissent argued for deference to presidential judgment, but the majority prevailed. The decision redefines the boundaries of presidential power and returns trade policy to Congress. It's a landmark ruling with immediate and far-reaching consequences. The separation of powers has been reaffirmed. The Supreme Court's decision sent financial markets soaring. Wall Street saw the end of tariffs as a boost for profits and growth. Stocks of companies reliant on imports jumped, while domestic steel and aluminum producers tumbled. The uncertainty that clouded the economy for years began to lift. Economists predict the removal of tariffs will ease inflation and lower prices for consumers. The Congressional Budget Office expects a significant economic boost in the coming year. But not everyone benefits. Industries once protected by tariffs now face tough competition. The government may need to support workers and companies hit by this sudden shift. Globally, allies welcomed the decision, hoping for normalized trade relations. International organizations hailed it as a win for the rules-based trading system, yet questions remain, especially regarding ongoing disputes with China. The U.S.-China trade relationship is still a major source of uncertainty. The market's reaction is just the beginning. The real economic impact will unfold in the months ahead. The world is watching America's next move. Behind the headlines, real people have lived the consequences of tariffs. A bicycle shop owner in Ohio struggled with higher costs and lost customers. Today's decision offers her hope. Midwest farmers hit by retaliatory tariffs watched export markets vanish and debts rise. Now they see a chance for recovery. In Pennsylvania, steelworkers saw tariffs as job savers. Now they fear renewed foreign competition. These stories reveal the human cost of trade policy. For some, tariffs meant hardship. For others, a lifeline. The Supreme Court's decision closes one chapter but doesn't erase the past. The challenge ahead: crafting trade policies that balance opportunity and security for all Americans. The national economy is built on the well-being of individuals and communities. As the country moves forward, their voices must be heard. Trade policy isn't just numbers, it's people's lives. The next chapter must learn from their experiences. America's future depends on it. The Supreme Court's decision has ignited a political firestorm. The America First wing of the GOP calls it a betrayal of workers. Democrats see a chance to repair alliances and lower costs. Trade policy is now a central issue for the upcoming elections. The ruling forces Congress to act. No more passing the buck to the president. Lawmakers must now debate and legislate on one of the most divisive issues in American politics. The Republican Party faces an identity crisis: double down on protectionism or return to free trade routes. The outcome will shape economic policy for years to come. For the first time in years, Congress must confront the realities of trade head-on. The political fallout is just beginning. The nation's economic future is back in lawmakers' hands. The stakes couldn't be higher. Experts call this one of the most significant separation of powers cases in decades. Legal scholars say the ruling restores constitutional guardrails, ensuring Congress, not the president, controls major economic decisions. Economists predict a disinflationary effect, with lower prices for consumers and businesses. But global supply chains have changed. The effects won't be immediate. Political scientists see a pushback against the rise of the imperial presidency, rebalancing power between branches. The decision could lead to more stable, predictable policymaking. Internationally, the ruling signals America's commitment to a rules-based system, restoring trust among allies. It strengthens the U.S. position in future trade negotiations. The consensus: this is a historic decision with profound legal, economic, and diplomatic implications. America's system of checks and balances has proven resilient. The world is taking note. The long-term impact will shape not just trade, but the very structure of American government. The story is far from over. The Supreme Court's decision closes a turbulent chapter but opens a new one for American trade. The challenge now is to manage the transition, helping industries adapt and supporting affected workers. For Americans, the ruling should mean lower prices and more stability for jobs tied to trade. But change will take time. The economy doesn't turn on a dime. Congress must now lead, crafting a trade policy that balances fairness and competitiveness. Open debate and bipartisan compromise are essential. This is a chance to build a smarter, fairer trade system for the future. The decision reaffirms the strength of American institutions and the rule of law. It's not the end, but a new beginning. The choices made now will define America's economic strength for years to come. The world is watching as the next chapter unfolds.